How do we find the balance between the old and the new?
The Gennett Suite is a 4-movement suite that features just some of my favorite jazz recordings that were recorded at Gennett Records between the years of 1923 and 1927.
Jazz musicians are always looking for inspiration, looking for sources of inspiration.
One of the things that is a part of jazz is that it's constantly evolving, constantly developing, and the way you learn it is really from the generation that came before you.
These aren't meant to be recreations at all. These are more modern, updated versions of those songs written for a big band.
So he's bringing together these historical recordings that were not big band music into the big band setting. And so he's kind of bringing together his historical knowledge, his knowledge of the big band, how to write for the big band.
It's good stuff. I mean, it's like you want to use it and break it and change it in all these different ways, and it's still recognizable because it's so strong.
The 4 movements are organized to feature usually, for the most part, individuals, but also concepts.
You're looking at a wellspring of source information, of motivic and harmonic material that can be used for creative development. And that's so from a creative and compositional standpoint, what Brent's done is using these original recordings as sort of like motivic and thematic material, and then taking and looking at the potential.
The first movement is called Royal Blue because the songs featured in that first movement are blues, 12-bar blues as we know them, but the original source material were by the New Orleans Rhythm Kings and King Oliver. So the fact that they're the two kings recording these blues, that's why it's called Royal Blue. But the main focus on that first movement is King Oliver and Louis Armstrong are heavily featured.
And it teaches us how to play the blues, because so much music was based on that. And so when you go down the line and much later on when you hear Duke Ellington's music and you wonder, well, why does he use so many blues forms? Well, he was listening to this music.
The second movement is Bix Beiderbecke. Now there's a play on words for the title of that movement, Blues Faux Bix, F-A-U-X, because at that time in the 20s there was what was known as the blues craze, where the blues became so popular and so financially important to the recording industry and the publishing industry that people would buy anything. Sheet music, if it had the word blues in it, they would buy it. A recording with the word blues in it, they would buy it. So they started slapping the word blues on all kinds of tunes that had nothing to do with blues. Then the third movement is called Hoagland, and it's called, that word has 2 meanings. First of all, Hoagy Carmichael, it features the music of Hoagy Carmichael. His actual first name is Hoagland, and then it was shortened to Hoagy. But also, being here in Indiana, specifically in Bloomington, this quite literally is Hoagland, right? This is the land of Hoagy, so it's Hoagland. And of course, we feature Stardust and Riverboat Shuffle, both recorded at Gennett's and important works by Hoagy Carmichael. Then the fourth movement is Jelly Roll Morton, called Mr. Jelly Lord, and that's a term that was applied to him because of just his own self-imposed status of this important jazz musician, and the swagger and the confidence that he had, and the humor in all his music, sly, subtle humor, and a little bit of that Latin tinge that Jelly Roll always talked about as well.
A unique aspect about the Buselli-Wallarab Jazz Orchestra, and especially with Brent's writing, is that he gets people in the band for the way they play or their sound. And so much like Duke Ellington didn't necessarily write for first alto, he wrote for Johnny Hodges. He didn't write for Barry Sachs, he wrote for Harry Carney. And Brent very much knows the strengths and the weaknesses of everybody's playing. So when he writes a trumpet part, it's not just trumpet 3, it's going to be Mark Buselli. It's written for him.
When Brent and I first got together, we talked about Ellington, and we talked about how we both loved the music of Ellington, and we both loved texture, and we both loved the sound that Ellington got.
Duke Ellington, he was never a Gennett artist. However, I would say that he is very much sort of a recipient of how this music was developed through Gennett Records.
What does this mean to me? Brent has illuminated this whole suite. He's done it in such a way that he retains the rhythm, the swing from Ellington, that kind of spirit, the arranging, the orchestration.
His writing is connected to the masters. It's connected to Ellington and Gil Evans, but it's fresh harmonically and rhythmically. It sounds like today, but it sounds like Brent.
This has been really 20 years in the making, the Gennett Suite. The importance of Gennett Records is something that cannot be disputed, and there have been books written about it. There have been great documentaries, and I think that one of the goals of this record is to at least make people curious about it. I really hope that they enjoy our new modern takes on this music, but I hope it will also make them so curious that they're going to want to go and find those original recordings and listen to them.